It's 11:38 on a Tuesday night, and your savings account finally says $1,014.62. You've been building that number for over a year. You stare at it, waiting to feel different. You don't. Same paycheck, same bills, same knot behind your ribs. Here's what nobody told you. Something did change tonight. You just can't see it, because the thing you bought isn't a thing. It's a wall between you and the most expensive spiral in America. Diana knows exactly where that wall goes because for 14 months she didn't have one, and an $838 check engine light nearly cost her the apartment. That sounds backwards, so we'll say it plainly. Your first $1,000 doesn't change what you have. It changes what a bad day can do to you. Because right now, only 47% of Americans could cover a surprise $1,000 expense from savings. Fewer than half. Flip a coin in any checkout line in the country. The person ahead of you probably can't absorb one bad Tuesday. Your bank noticed your milestone, by the way. It sent you 8 cents of interest and a credit card offer. Banks only throw parties when you owe them money. At Mr. Cents, we spend way too much time studying the line between a bad day and a bad year. So if you've ever finally saved something and felt absolutely nothing, subscribe. We break down one money trap every week. First, let's be honest about that number, because the honesty is the point. Bankrate asked Americans in December whether they could handle a $1,000 emergency. An ER visit? A car repair? 47% said they had the savings or liquidity to cover it, which means 53% did not. U.S. News ran its own survey in January and found 43% couldn't pay it from savings. So depending on who's asking, somewhere between 43% and 53% of this country cannot absorb one surprise bill. Every version of that range says the same thing. Being unprotected isn't a personal failure. It's the American default setting, and the default runs deeper than the headline. 24% of Americans, 1 in 4, have no emergency savings at all. Not a thin fund, nothing. The next time you're sitting in a meeting with 4 people, odds are one of them is one flat tire away from a payday loan. It's worst for the youngest, too. Roughly 1 in 3 Gen Z adults has nothing set aside. And among the people who do have a fund, the median balance just fell to $5,000, half of what it was a year earlier. The national cushion is getting thinner while everything that lands on it gets heavier. If you just did the quiet thing, opened your banking app mid-video to check which side of the line you're on, keep that reflex in mind. We're going to put a number on it in a few minutes, and it's bigger than you think. And you've probably almost fixed this already. Most people have. Jake almost did last January. New year, new spreadsheet. A $50 automatic transfer set up at 11 o'clock at night with real conviction. It ran exactly twice. Then February got expensive. The transfer got paused just for a month, and the month never ended. That's the almost moment. And it's not a willpower story. It's a design story. A floor built on remembering to save will always lose to a life designed to spend. Keep Jake's paused transfer in mind. It comes back, and so does his car. So what actually happens when the surprise arrives and there's no cash to meet it? Bankrate found 33% of Americans would cover a $1,000 emergency by going into debt. A credit card, a personal loan, or borrowing from family. A third of the country pays for surprises at interest. That markup has a name. We call it the spiral price. The extra cost of every emergency you can't say yes to in cash. Watch it work. Jake's car made the noise in March. The repair came to $838, almost exactly the national average repair bill, down to the dollar. Jake didn't have $838 sitting anywhere, so the card said yes for him. And the card has a business partner. Walk into any branch and the bank manager will show you politely what minimum payments really mean. Carry $5,000 on a card at 20% APR, pay only the minimums, and you'll be paying for about 23 years. $7,723 in interest, more than the original debt was worth. 23 years. Read that again. A kid born the day of Jake's car repair would get a driver's license, finish college, and open their own first credit card before that balance dies. The bank manager isn't a villain exactly. He's just the only retailer in America whose product is your own future, sold back to you at 20% interest. It's a beautiful business model if you're the bank. And the spiral price compounds because emergencies don't take turns. 4 months after the repair, Jake's laptop died. Onto the same card, on top of the same balance. And now the minimum payment itself is the bill that breaks the month. That's the real mechanics of being broke in America. The first emergency you can't pay for in cash prices every emergency that comes after it. And it isn't just cars. Sarah works in an emergency room, and she's seen both sides of the counter. Even with employer insurance, the average out-of-pocket cost of an ER visit is $646. And that's the bill for the people who did everything right and have coverage. Without insurance, the average bill is $2,715. Your appendix does not check your account balance before it goes. Hold on to one question as we move. If the floor matters this much, why do so few people have one? There's a single number that explains it. The most unfair number in this whole video. And we'll put it on screen right before the fix. Because here's the strangest finding in all of this research. Vanguard studied more than 12,000 of its own investors and found that having even $2,000 set aside was the strongest single predictor of financial well-being they could measure, a 21% higher level of it. And the gap showed up somewhere unexpected. People with no emergency savings spent 7.3 hours a week thinking about money. People past the threshold, 3.7. That difference is almost a full workday. Every single week that your brain works unpaid, running the same math you ran at 11:38 on Tuesday. It's the ceiling math at 3 in the morning. It's rerunning the grocery total in the checkout line. It's the tab in your head that never closes. A floor doesn't just catch falls, it gives you your head back. Now walk 1 month with Diana because just save $1,000. Sounds easy right up until you watch the math try. Diana takes home $3,184 a month. Rent on the 2-bedroom, $1,285. She's at $1,899. Childcare, even after assistance, $640. $1,259 left. The car payment and insurance for the car that gets her to the job that pays for the car, $389. She's down to $870. Utilities, phone, internet, $264. That leaves $606. Groceries for two, $480. Diana ends the month with $126. That's $4.20 a day. For shoes a 7-year-old keeps outgrowing, the field trip envelope, the birthday she refuses to skip, and any concept of fun, $126. Sit with that and understand, Diana isn't careless. There's no boat in this story. No vacations, no daily lattes to lecture her about. She did everything she was supposed to do, and the math is the villain. Out of that $126, she squeezed $70 a month, selling things, skipping things, and it took her 14 months to cross $1,000. 14 months of discipline to buy what most of the country still doesn't have. That's why the number is 47%. The floor isn't rare because people are lazy. It's rare because it's expensive to be alive. Congratulations, by the way. In the richest economy in human history, the official distance between a stressful week and a lost decade is one used transmission. And right now, a certain kind of viewer is typing, $1,000 is nothing. A real emergency costs way more than that, so what's the point? That argument deserves its strongest form, so here it is. The average uninsured ER visit runs $2,715. A transmission replacement runs $2,500 to $6,000. And when U.S. News asked people how much they actually want in their emergency fund, the median answer was $10,000, because people know $1,000 doesn't cover a catastrophe. All of that is true. If the bad day is big enough, the floor cracks, and the real long-term target, 3 to 6 months of expenses, exists for exactly that reason. But here's what the spreadsheet misses. Most emergencies aren't catastrophes. The average car repair is $838. The average insured ER bill is $646. The dead water heater, the school laptop, the last-minute flight home. They live in the $1,000 zone, and they show up far more often than the $6,000 disasters. And the behavioral research is even louder. Even $100 in savings measurably cuts the odds of turning to a payday loan, and at $250, housing stability improves. The floor was never built to survive the worst day of your life. It exists to stop ordinary bad days from becoming the worst year of it. So here's the rule. If your savings are under $1,000, that is the goal. Before extra debt payments, before investing, before anything with an app and a chart, and if you're carrying a 20% card balance right now, a starter floor still comes first, even $500, then the card. Because without any cash buffer, the next emergency goes straight back onto the card you just paid down. Once the floor is in, then you climb. So here's the whole strategy, and it's almost insultingly simple. $1,000 in cash, reachable within 1 day that you never touch. We call it the $1,000 floor, and it runs on 3 rules. Count them with us because we're going to deliver all 3. Think of the floor as the net under a tightrope. It doesn't make you walk faster and you hope you never use it, but every single step changes the moment the fall stops being fatal. Rule 1. The floor lives in its own room, not in checking where it dissolves quietly into Tuesday. A separate high-yield savings account, ideally at a different bank. The 2 days of transfer friction is a feature, not a flaw. And the room matters. The average American savings account pays 0.38%, which is your bank's way of thanking you for the free loan. A high-yield account pays around 4% right now, some up to about 4.4%. On $1,000, that's roughly $40 a year. And we'll be honest with you, the $40 is a tip, not the engine. The engine is the wall between your money and your 11:38 at night self. Name the account something with teeth. Jake named his do not, just don't. It's been 10 months. He hasn't. That separation is also quiet power. The day the shop hands you a quote, you're a customer with cash, not a borrower asking permission. Money you can reach without anyone's approval changes how you stand at the counter. Rule 2. The floor builds itself, because you will never feel like building it. Nobody transfers money to savings on motivation. That's why automation exists. Remember Jake's January transfer, the one that died in week 2? After the $838 repair, he rebuilt it. Smaller and smarter. $25 moving every Friday morning, payday before he's even awake. The difference isn't a stronger Jake. It's a smaller number on a better system. $25 a week is $1,300 a year. By week 41, the account crossed $1,000. And Jake says the strange part is that he never once felt the $25 leave. That's the identity shift hiding inside this episode. You stop being someone who tries to save and become someone whose saving doesn't ask for permission. Because willpower has a calendar, and the calendar has Christmas on it. And if $25 a week is fiction right now, run Diana's version instead. $70 a month, 14 months, done. A slower floor is still a floor. The speed was never the point. The direction is. Rule 3. The floor opens for emergencies only, and you define emergency before the moment, not during it. A repair, a medical bill, lost income. Not concert tickets having a moment, not a sale that ends at midnight. Write the list the same day you open the account, because on the night something declines, every want in your life will apply for emergency status. And here's what the 3 rules by. This past January, Diana's check engine light came back on. Remember that light? She didn't turn up the radio this time. She drove to the shop, paid the $612 from the floor, drove home, and refilled it over the next 9 weeks. No card, no bank manager, no 23-year calendar. The emergency happened, and then it was simply over. That's the entire product this video is selling, and it costs $1,000. Emergencies that end. One honest footnote before the last number. The floor is step 1. Not the whole staircase. Once it's full, your spare dollars graduate to the card balance charging you 20%, then toward the 3 to 6 month fund, then to investing. But the order matters because every one of those steps assumes the spiral can't reach you while you climb. Skip the floor, and the first surprise drags you back down the staircase, with interest, which leaves the loop we owe you, the number that explains why this is the hardest $1,000 you will ever collect. Right now, Americans are saving 2.6% of their disposable income, $2.60 out of every $100. Everything else is already spoken for before the month starts. The system is calibrated so that almost nothing is left over to build floors with, which is exactly why yours has to be automated, separated, and small enough to be possible. Because the first $1,000 was never really about having money. It's about changing what a bad day is allowed to do to you. $1,000 is not the finish line. It's the first line the system wasn't expecting you to cross. So go back to 11:38 on that Tuesday night, the $1,014.62, and the feeling that nothing changed. Here's what changed. The next check engine light is an errand now, not an era. The next ER bill is a bad month, not a 23-year calendar. You're standing inside the 47%, and the feeling you kept waiting for was never going to be fireworks. It's silence. It's the spiral that doesn't start. Once the floor is under you, there's a second line where everything changes again. $10,000. And that episode is coming. If you've been doing the math in your head this whole time and the numbers don't look good, subscribe. We'll fix that. Because the first $1,000 doesn't feel like wealth. It feels like nothing. And nothing happening is exactly what you paid for.